Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be wading into the world of enterprise AI.
Okay.
Specifically, we're looking at how to make sure your AI projects deliver a solid return on investment.
Yeah.
You don't want to just throw money at the latest shiny tech, right?
Right.
So we'll be digging into AI innovation versus budget considerations, a guide put together by the research team over at Kognition.Info.
It's a really timely topic. There's so much hype around AI,
Yeah.
but the reality is that many companies are struggling to make it work financially,
Yeah.
and this guide doesn't sugarcoat those challenges.
It definitely does not.
Yeah.
One of the first things that jumped out at me was this statistic from Boston Consulting Group.
Yeah.
70% of digital transformations, and that includes a lot of AI projects, completely miss their targets.
Wow.
70%. That's a wake-up call, don't you think?
It is, yeah. It tells us that we need a more strategic approach.
Yeah.
And that's really where this guide comes in.
Okay.
It helps us understand why traditional ways of measuring return on investment often fail with AI. And then lays out a framework for making sure your AI projects actually deliver real business value.
Okay, so let's dive into that. The guide refers to this as the AI value gap.
Uh-huh.
What exactly makes AI so different from traditional tech investments when it comes to measuring ROI?
Well, one of the biggest differences is that AI's impact is often indirect.
Okay.
So think of it like this AI might help you improve predictions,
Yeah.
which lead to better decisions and eventually better business outcomes. It's a chain reaction, not a simple cause and effect.
So it's not like buying a new machine that churns out more widgets where you can easily see the return.
Right.
With AI, the impact is more subtle and unfolds over time.
Exactly. And this leads to the second challenge.
Right.
AI's value often takes time to materialize.
Yeah.
We're talking 12 to 18 months, sometimes even longer.
Why?
It's like laying a foundation you invest heavily up front,
Right.
and it might even look like a loss initially,
Yeah.
but it sets you up for future success.
Uh-huh.
AI requires similar patience. You're investing in data infrastructure, talent learning curves.
I can see how that would make it tricky for companies that are focused on quarterly earnings reports.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify an investment that might not show a clear return for a year or more.
It is. And then on top of that, there's the challenge of measuring the intangible benefits of AI.
Yeah.
Things like improved customer experience,
Right.
better risk management,
Uh-huh.
increased agility. These all create real value,
Yeah.
but they're not always easy to quantify in dollars and cents.
It's like trying to put a price tag on a good feeling. Tough to do, but the guide points out that the challenges aren't just inherent to AI itself, right?
Right.
They're also organizational factors that can make this whole ROI thing even messier.
Absolutely. Misaligned incentives between departments are a big one.
Okay.
Different teams are often optimizing for different things.
Yeah.
The tech team might be focused on building the most advanced AI model,
Uh-huh.
while the business units are under pressure to hit short-term targets. And then you've got finance, who are naturally going to be laser focused on costs and immediate returns.
So you've got everyone pulling in different directions.
Yeah.
Which can make it really tough to get everyone on board with a long-term vision for AI.
It does.
I saw this firsthand at a company I worked with. They were all gung-ho about implementing an AI-powered chatbot for customer service.
Okay.
The tech team built this amazing bot,
Uh-huh.
but they hadn't thought about how it would actually integrate with the existing customer service workflow.
Oh, that's never good. What happened?
Well, it ended up being a costly project that actually made the customer service team's jobs harder.
Oh, no.
The bot was great in isolation,
Yeah.
but it just didn't fit into the real world of how the company interacted with its customers.
That's a perfect example of how a lack of alignment can derail even the most promising AI project.
Yeah.
It also underscores another point. The guide makes the need for strong communication and collaboration between departments.
Right. Everyone needs to be on the same page, speaking the same language.
Yes.
The tech team needs to understand the business goals.
Uh-huh.
Finance needs to appreciate the potential of AI, even if those benefits aren't immediately obvious on a spreadsheet.
That's a great way to put it. And that leads us to the good stuff solutions.
Okay.
The guide introduces the value-driven AI framework,
Okay.
which outlines 8 key elements for bridging this AI value gap.
8 elements. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's break that down a bit. It all starts with strategic value alignment, right?
It does. This is about starting with the end in mind.
Okay.
Before even thinking about algorithms or data,
Uh-huh.
you need to ask, what are our top business goals?
Yeah.
And how can AI realistically help us achieve those goals?
So it's not about building a cool AI just because you can. It's about using AI strategically to drive your business forward.
Exactly. And a key part of this is what the guide calls opportunity sizing.
Okay.
Before you dive into any AI project, you need to realistically estimate the potential value, the time it'll take to see that value, and the resources required.
So like a feasibility study specifically for AI projects.
Precisely. And this is where a solid understanding of the financial side of things is crucial.
Right.
The guide stresses the importance of developing a financial evaluation methodology that makes sense to the finance folks.
Okay.
You need to be able to assess ROI in a way that considers short-term and long-term returns,
Yeah.
including those tricky intangible benefits we discussed.
Got it. So you need to be able to clearly show how this AI project contributes to the bottom line, even if some of the benefits will take time to show up.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual projects.
Right.
The guide emphasizes the importance of portfolio management.
Okay.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversification is key.
Absolutely. You want a mix of short-term wins
Yeah.
that demonstrate AI's value quickly
Mm-hmm.
and long-term investments with the potential to pay off big down the road.
Okay.
Think of it like a balanced investment portfolio.
So you're balancing those quick wins with some strategic bets on the future. What else is part of this value-driven AI framework?
Well, another key element is value-focused implementation.
Okay.
This is about designing your AI solutions with business impact in mind from the very beginning.
Meaning, don't get lost in the technical details and lose sight of the big picture.
Right.
How is this actually going to be used? How will it create value?
Exactly. And the guide introduces this interesting concept called minimum viable value.
Okay.
What's the smallest, fastest way to deliver meaningful results?
Mm-hmm.
It's about proving value quickly,
Right.
rather than spending years building a perfect system that may never actually see the light of day.
It's about making sure your AI is a problem solver and a value creator,
Yeah.
not just some code sitting on a server gathering digital dust.
Exactly. And that ties into another crucial element, comprehensive measurement.
Okay.
You can't manage what you don't measure.
Right.
So you need to track both the technical performance of your AI
Yeah.
and its actual impact on your business goals.
Right. Just because an algorithm performs well in a lab setting doesn't mean it's going to translate into real-world results.
Precisely. And the guide offers some really practical advice on setting up a measurement system to capture the full value of your AI initiatives.
Okay.
They talk about a multi-level metrics framework
Yeah.
that goes beyond just technical performance indicators.
Okay.
You also need to track things like operational process metrics,
Uh-huh.
business outcome measures,
Mm-hmm.
financial return metrics, and even strategic position indicators.
Okay. That sounds pretty comprehensive, but it makes sense. You need to track the impact of your AI on all levels of the business to understand its true value.
Absolutely. And then there's the question of attribution.
Yeah.
How do you definitively prove that the AI is responsible for the results you're seeing?
Yeah. That's a tough one, especially when there are often so many other factors at play in a business.
It is, the guide recommends establishing a clear baseline before implementing any AI,
Okay.
using control groups if possible, and developing a robust methodology for tracing the cause and effect from the AI's actions to the business outcomes.
So it's about being able to tell a convincing data-driven story
Yeah.
that shows how the AI is contributing to the success of the business.
Exactly. And communicating that story effectively is key. Which leads us to another element, the finance partnership model.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you need to get the people holding the purse strings on board.
Absolutely. This element is all about building a strong collaborative relationship between the AI team and the finance department.
No more throwing AI projects over the wall to finance and hoping for the best.
No more silos, the guide recommends, involving finance from the very beginning.
Okay.
Jointly developing the business case, agreeing on how value will be measured,
Uh-huh.
and being totally transparent about assumptions and risks.
Right.
It's about true partnership where everyone is working together towards success.
That makes a lot of sense. And once you have those great results, you need to shout it from the rooftops or at least
Yeah.
communicate them effectively to the right people. The guide talks about developing a communication strategy. What are the key points there?
It's all about tailoring your message to different audiences.
Okay.
What resonates with the CEO might not be what resonates with the head of marketing
Right.
or the data science team.
So you need to be able to explain the value of AI in a way that makes sense to everyone.
Yes.
using language and examples that they can relate to.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes using visualization to bring those abstract benefits to life.
Okay.
Think dashboards before and after comparisons, customer experience, maps, anything that makes the impact of AI more tangible and
Yeah.
easier to understand.
Because a picture really is worth 1,000 spreadsheets, right?
Absolutely. And finally, the guide stresses that all of this needs to be supported by cultural integration.
Okay.
It's about embedding a value-focused mindset
Uh-huh.
throughout the entire organization.
So it's not just about having a few AI gurus.
Right.
It's about creating a culture where everyone understands and appreciates the potential of AI to drive value for the business.
Exactly. It's about shifting the thinking from what can AI do
Yeah.
to what value can AI create.
Okay.
This involves clarifying AI's purpose within the organization,
Mhm.
rewarding people for delivering business impact,
Yeah.
and investing in training to build the skills needed to succeed with AI.
This is starting to sound like a pretty big organizational shift.
It is.
It's not just about implementing new tools. It's about changing the way the entire company thinks about and approaches AI.
That's right. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
But the companies willing to embrace this value-driven approach are the ones that will reap the biggest rewards from AI in the long run.
Well, that's definitely a lot to think about. I'm already seeing how powerful this framework could be,
Yeah.
but we're not done yet, right? The guide also shares some really compelling real-world examples of companies that have successfully implemented these elements and achieved some pretty incredible results.
They have.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to explore. Let's dive into those real-world examples after a quick word from our sponsors.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. All right, so we talked about the challenges and the overall framework for making AI work in a business setting.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get into these real-world success stories.
Me too.
I'm all about learning from those who are actually getting it right.
Yeah, the guide highlights some really fascinating cases.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was this financial services institution that was initially struggling to get their AI projects off the ground.
Okay.
They had a ton of great ideas, but less than half of them were getting the executive buy-in and resources they needed.
I bet a lot of companies listening can relate to that. It's one thing to have a cool AI concept,
Right.
but another thing entirely to actually get it implemented and delivering value.
Exactly. And what's interesting is this company realized their problem wasn't a lack of technical expertise.
Okay.
They had top-notch data scientists and engineers. Their real issue was a lack of strategic alignment.
Okay.
They were so focused on the how of AI, the algorithms, the data models,
Yeah.
that they weren't spending enough time on the why.
Right.
They weren't clearly connecting their AI projects to the company's overall strategic priorities.
So they were missing that crucial first step. We talked about strategic value alignment.
Yeah.
They hadn't figured out how to make AI a strategic asset, not just a cool tech experiment.
Precisely. And once they recognized that, they took a step back and completely overhauled their approach.
Okay.
They developed a process they called AI value mapping, which I think is brilliant.
Okay.
They started by identifying their top 3 strategic priorities, things like enhancing client experience, improving operational efficiency, and strengthening risk management.
Okay. So far, so good. Sounds like a logical starting point.
Right, but here's the key.
Okay.
For each of those priorities, they brainstormed potential AI use cases.
Yeah.
But they didn't stop there.
Okay.
They went a step further and explicitly linked each use case to specific value levers. For example, if their goal was to improve operational efficiency,
Uh-huh.
they would identify AI use cases that could reduce processing time or enhance decision accuracy.
So they weren't just saying, hey, AI could automate this process.
Right.
They were saying, we need to improve this specific metric, and AI can help us do that by automating this particular process.
Exactly.
They were thinking about the impact, not just the technology.
Exactly. And they took it even further.
Okay.
They developed detailed financial models to quantify the potential impact of each use case.
Yeah.
They created different scenarios, conservative, expected, ambitious, and assigned probabilities to each one.
Wow. They're really doing their homework. That's impressive.
They were speaking the language of finance, which is crucial for getting buy-in from the CFO and the rest of the executive team.
Right.
And to really seal the deal, they created what they called a strategic value narrative for each major AI initiative.
Okay. I'm curious about that. What exactly is a strategic value narrative?
It sounds much more engaging than a typical financial report. It is, they recognize that numbers alone don't always tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So they crafted these compelling narratives
Right.
that articulated not only the potential financial returns,
Huh.
but also the strategic benefits, the competitive necessity, and even the future optionality value.
Future optionality. That's an interesting term.
It basically means how this AI project could open up new possibilities and opportunities down the road.
What?
So they were painting a complete picture of how these AI projects would contribute to the long-term success of the company, not just in terms of immediate dollars and cents.
I love that it's about thinking strategically and understanding the broader impact of these investments. So what was the outcome of all this effort?
The results were remarkable. Their AI project success rate skyrocketed to 94%.
Wow.
That's up from a dismal 47% before they implemented this new approach.
Wow. That's a huge turnaround. It's a real testament to the power of strategic alignment when it comes to AI.
Absolutely. It's not just about having the coolest technology. It's about using that technology in a way that directly supports your business goals.
Well said. Okay. What other success stories stood out to you?
Another great example is a manufacturing company that was really struggling to demonstrate the ROI of their AI investments.
Okay.
Their initial success rate was a paltry 31%.
Ouch. That's barely better than a coin toss.
Right. And they finally realized they were using traditional financial evaluation methods that were just not suitable for AI projects.
Okay.
They were too focused on short-term returns
Yeah.
and didn't take into account the long-term value creation potential of AI.
So they were using the wrong tools for the job. They needed a new way to think about and measure AI's impact.
Exactly, and that's what they did.
Okay.
They developed a custom ROI methodology specifically designed for AI.
Okay.
This framework incorporated traditional financial metrics,
Right.
like net present value and internal rate of return,
Yep.
but also included AI-specific considerations such as the value of their data assets and the benefits of building up their internal AI capabilities.
So they were taking a more holistic view,
Yeah.
recognizing that AI is not just about immediate cost savings, but also about building strategic assets for the future.
Right. They also understood that not all benefits of AI can be easily quantified.
Yeah.
So they got creative, for instance, to measure the value of improved customer experience.
Uh-huh.
They correlated customer satisfaction scores with customer retention rates and lifetime value metrics.
That's smart. They found a way to connect those softer benefits to hard numbers that finance could understand and appreciate.
Exactly. And another thing they did was implement a stage gating approach to funding.
Okay.
They started with smaller proof of concept projects with budgets typically between $50,000 and $150,000.
Okay.
If the project demonstrated promising results and a clear path to business impact,
Yeah.
they would unlock additional funding for the next phase.
That's a much more agile approach than throwing a huge chunk of money at a project up front before you even know if it's going to work.
It's about taking calculated risks, learning as you go,
Right.
and investing more only when you see evidence of success, and this approach paid off.
Okay.
Their AI investment success rate jumped to 72% over a 3-year period.
That's a fantastic improvement. They were able to significantly improve their ROI while still encouraging innovation and experimentation.
Precisely. And that brings us to another important aspect of the framework.
Okay.
Portfolio management. Remember, diversification is key.
Right.
The guide highlights a tech company
Yeah.
that developed a sophisticated approach to AI portfolio management.
Okay.
They called it their AI investment spectrum.
Okay. I like the sound of that. Tell me more.
They categorized all their AI investments into 3 buckets:
Okay.
operational improvements, strategic capabilities, and transformational bets.
Okay. So I'm intrigued. Break down those categories for me.
Sure, operational improvements were aimed at making existing processes more efficient. Think of these as the low-hanging fruit projects expected to deliver ROI within 12 months. They allocated about 60% of their AI portfolio to this category.
So these are the projects that will demonstrate the value of AI quickly and get some early wins on the board.
Exactly. Then they had strategic capabilities,
Okay.
which were projects focused on building new capabilities that would give them a competitive advantage in the long run.
Okay.
These had a longer time horizon, typically 1 to 3 years, and they allocated about 30% of their portfolio to this category.
So these are more like strategic bets on the future with the potential to really move the needle for the business.
Yes, and finally they had transformational bets.
Okay.
These were the high-risk, high-reward projects with the potential to disrupt their industry.
Oh,
Think moonshot projects with a time frame of 3+ years.
okay.
They allocated about 10% of their portfolio to this category.
So they were hedging their bets, making sure they had a good mix of projects with different risk profiles and time horizons. Very smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
they didn't just throw money at these projects blindly. They used sophisticated financial models like option value analysis to justify their investments in data infrastructure and AI platforms,
Cool.
even though those investments might not generate immediate returns.
That's a great example of thinking long-term and recognizing that foundational investments are critical for success with AI. So what kind of results did this company see with their...
So we've talked about strategic alignment, financial evaluation, and portfolio management.
Right.
What about implementation? Does the guide offer any insights on how to make sure your AI implementation is actually focused on delivering value?
I was just thinking that it's one thing to have a great plan,
Yeah,
but another to actually execute it effectively.
you're absolutely right. And the guide does share some great examples in this area.
Okay.
One of my favorites is this healthcare organization that used AI to optimize patient flow in their emergency department. They were dealing with long wait times, and they knew AI could potentially help, but they were very deliberate about how they approached the implementation.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about their approach.
Well, they started by defining what they called minimum viable value, or MVV.
Yeah.
They didn't try to build the most complex, feature-rich AI system right out of the gate.
Right.
Instead, they asked, what's the smallest, fastest way we can make a meaningful impact? They decided their MVV would be an AI that could reduce emergency department wait times by 15%. Okay.
So they focused all their initial efforts on features that would directly contribute to that goal.
So they were laser focused on solving a specific problem, improving value quickly. No bells and whistles, just results.
Exactly. They structured their implementation in 4-week cycles,
Okay.
with each cycle required to deliver measurable incremental value.
Okay.
They had a strict rule: if a cycle didn't show a clear impact on wait times,
Yeah.
they would either adjust their approach or abandon the project altogether.
They were constantly validating their assumptions and making sure they were on the right track.
Right, and they had this interesting process they called value validation sessions.
Okay.
Every week, they'd compare their actual results against their projections.
Uh-huh.
And if there were any gaps,
Yeah.
they would immediately adjust their plans.
So they were really staying agile and responding to feedback in real time. What else stood out to you about their implementation?
Well, they understood that for their AI solution to succeed,
It needed to work seamlessly within the existing workflows of the emergency department.
right?
So they actually embedded members of their implementation team directly in the ER.
Wow.
These team members worked side by side with doctors, nurses, and other staff, observing how they used the system and getting feedback.
That's brilliant. It's about understanding the context in which your AI will be used and making sure it fits into the real world.
Precisely. And this user-centric approach really paid off.
Okay.
Within just 3 months, they had exceeded their goal of reducing wait times by 15%.
Okay.
They actually achieved a 27% reduction.
Wow, that's a significant improvement. And it sounds like a pretty fast turnaround time, too.
Yeah.
It really highlights how focusing on value from the outset can lead to tangible results.
Absolutely. And it also shows how all those elements we talked about, strategic alignment, having a clear financial evaluation methodology, strong partnerships with finance,
Yeah.
all these pieces work together to create successful AI implementation.
This is also fascinating. I'm really seeing how valuable this value-driven AI framework can be, but we've covered a lot of ground. We're going to take a pause here and pick back up with the rest of these case studies in the next part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've seen how crucial it is to align your AI projects with business goals. Evaluate them properly and implement them in a way that focuses on delivering value from day one. But how do you actually measure that value, especially when AI's impact can be so multifaceted? The guide talks about comprehensive measurement as a key element of the framework. And I have to admit, this is the part that always makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, I get it. It can feel daunting, but the guide shares this really great example of a retail company that absolutely nailed it.
Okay.
They were implementing an AI system for inventory optimization, which, as you know, has huge potential for cost savings and efficiency gains.
Right. Inventory management is a classic use case for AI. But how do they actually prove that their AI was the driving force behind those gains? I mean, it's not always easy to isolate the impact of one technology, especially in a complex system like a retail supply chain.
Yeah, they were incredibly thorough. They developed a 5-level metrics framework that captured the full spectrum of impact their AI was having. So at the first level, they were tracking the technical performance indicators, things like the accuracy of the AI's predictions and the system's uptime.
Okay, so they were looking at how well the AI was performing from a purely technical standpoint, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. They also tracked operational process metrics, for example. They looked at how much time employees were spending on replenishment decisions and how many exceptions they had to handle.
So they were measuring how the AI was changing the day-to-day work of their employees. Were they able to see any improvements there?
Absolutely. They saw significant reductions in the time spent on these tasks, which freed up employees to focus on more strategic activities.
Okay.
But they didn't stop there. They went on to track business outcome measures like stock out rates and inventory turnover,
Okay.
as well as financial return metrics such as reductions in carrying costs and improvements in profit margins.
So they were looking at the impact on the actual business operations and the bottom line. That's impressive. But they took it even further, didn't they?
Did they even track strategic position indicators such as customer satisfaction and market share?
Wow, they were really measuring the impact of their AI from every conceivable angle. That's incredible.
It is. And to make sure they were truly isolating the impact of the AI, they ran a very smart pilot program.
Okay.
They implemented the AI in 50 stores while keeping 50 comparable stores as a control group.
Ah, the classic A/B test, a tried and true method.
Exactly. And they were careful to account for other factors that could influence the results, such as seasonal variations and regional differences. They
Right.
wanted to be absolutely certain they were seeing the true impact of their AI solution.
So they were very rigorous in their approach. What kind of results did they see with this multi-level measurement framework?
Well, they were able to conclusively demonstrate a $78 million annual profit improvement that was directly attributable to the AI implementation. $78 million. That's a game changer. No wonder the executives were thrilled.
They were, and the company didn't just bury that number in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
They created this impressive value tracking command center
Okay.
that provided real-time visibility into all those key metrics, from the technical performance of the AI all the way to the bottom line financial impact.
So they were able to tell a very compelling data-driven story about the value their AI was creating, which is so important for getting buy-in and support from across the organization.
It is, and that brings us to another crucial element of the framework finance partnership. Remember, it's not enough to just measure the value of your AI.
Yeah.
You need to be able to communicate that value effectively to the people who control the budget.
Right. Finance needs to be your champion, not your skeptic. So
Yeah.
how do you build that strong partnership with finance?
The guide highlights a financial services institution that did this really well. They created what they called value realization teams.
Okay.
For every major AI initiative, they assigned a dedicated finance partner who was involved from the very beginning.
From brainstorming ideas to developing the business case to measuring the results.
So finance wasn't just brought in at the end to approve the budget. They were a true partner throughout the entire process.
Exactly. And they didn't just sit in on meetings passively.
Why?
They actively participated. They led workshops to explore different value creation mechanisms
Uh-huh.
and worked collaboratively with the AI team to develop financial models that everyone understood and agreed on.
It sounds like a genuine partnership built on mutual understanding and respect.
It was. And they also made a conscious effort to boost the AI literacy of their finance team.
Okay.
They provided targeted training, shared relevant case studies, and even gave finance professionals hands-on experience with AI applications.
That's a great approach. It's about empowering finance to understand and appreciate the potential of AI rather than just throwing technical jargon at them.
Absolutely. And this investment in education paid off.
Okay.
When their customer service AI delivered a 34% reduction in resolution time
Mm-hmm.
and a significant improvement in customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
The CFO became one of the biggest advocates for expanding their AI investments.
That's a great example of how a strong partnership with finance can really pay dividends. But even with all of that, you still need to be able to communicate the value of your AI effectively to the broader organization, right? That's where the communication strategy element comes in.
Right, you can have the most amazing AI project in the world, but if you can't articulate its value to the right people, it's not going to get you very far.
Exactly. So how do you craft a communication strategy that resonates with different audiences?
The guide shares a fantastic example of a telecommunications company that did this really well.
Okay.
They developed what they called their AI impact narrative.
Okay.
They recognized that different stakeholders care about different things.
Right.
So they created tailored value stories for 5 key audiences:
Okay.
executives, finance business units, the technical team, and external stakeholders like customers and investors.
Okay, that makes sense. You need to speak their language and focus on what matters most to them.
Yeah.
So how did they actually tailor those messages?
Well, for executives, they focused on how AI was contributing to the company's competitive advantage and strategic goals.
Okay.
For finance, they emphasized the operational cost savings and efficiency gains.
Mm-hmm.
For business units, they highlighted the improvements in service levels and the reduction in workload for employees.
Okay.
For the technical team, they celebrated the innovative algorithms and the technological breakthroughs they are making.
Mm.
And for customers, they focused on how AI was improving the reliability and quality of their services.
So they really put themselves in the shoes of each audience and thought carefully about what would resonate with them. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. And they went beyond just words on a page.
Okay.
They used compelling visuals to bring those stories to life.
Okay.
They created an AI value dashboard that was updated weekly with key performance metrics,
Okay.
interactive demonstrations that showed how their network management had improved after implementing AI,
Huh.
and customer experience maps that illustrated the tangible improvements in service.
So they were using data visualization and storytelling to really drive home the impact of their AI. Did this approach make a difference in how their AI initiatives were perceived?
It made a huge difference. This sophisticated approach to communication completely transformed the way their AI investments were perceived. What was once viewed as a cost center became a recognized strategic asset. Even the board members were impressed.
That's a powerful testament to the importance of effective communication, especially when it comes to something as complex and often misunderstood as AI.
It really is. And it reinforces the message that runs throughout this guide. The key to successful AI implementation isn't just about having the best technology. It's about being strategic, aligning with business goals, measuring your success, and communicating the value clearly to all stakeholders.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. I'm feeling much more optimistic about the future of AI in the enterprise.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a budget black hole. It really can be a strategic value engine. But it takes a conscious effort and a commitment to doing things the right way.
I completely agree. And the guide wraps up with a powerful thought. The choice for business leaders is clear.
Okay.
Continue treating AI as a purely technological endeavor with vague promises of value,
Right.
or embrace a transformational approach that relentlessly focuses on business impact and fosters a culture of innovation.
So it's not about choosing between innovation and accountability. It's about finding the sweet spot where those two things come together.
Precisely, the companies that thrive in the future will be the ones that choose the latter path.
Yeah.
They will use AI strategically to achieve their goals and create lasting value.
I think that's a fantastic note to end on. I hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights into how to make sure your AI projects are a success. Until next time.